I'm JP Tuesday.
And I'm Kiki Cannon. As lifelong Disney fans, the work of countless talented Disney creatives have shaped our lives.
Now, as the Disney catalog expands, we're taking a journey through film and television to discover if that spark that shaped us as children lives on in adulthood.
Does your favorite Disney media still cast that same spell? Join us as we find out. We are Rewatching the Magic.
Hi, Kiki.
Hi, Tuesday.
This week, we are talking about That Thing You Do, the directorial debut of Tom Hanks, and a movie that, we grew up on. That freaking song still gets in your head.
Yeah, it is indeed a song that will stick in your head. Now that we have reminded you of it, it will be stuck in your head too.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even have to play the song. It will be stuck in your head just by us mentioning it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, That Thing You Do, the song written by Adam Schlesinger of Fountains of Wayne.
You know them best for having done the song Stacy's Mom. She's got it going on.
Yeah. Those two songs were a couple of years back, and unfortunately Adam Schlesinger passed away, complications of COVID back in 2020. But yeah, when he passed, those two songs were people were just sharing them again. That's how a lot of people found out that he actually wrote the song. Some people didn't know that was because I don't know if Fountains of Wayne were a thing in '96.
Yeah, I mean, I think they might have been, but we didn't know about them.
Mm-hmm.
Stacy's Mom was not a thing until later. We have talked before about songs and the Oscars. I think the first time we really went on a rant about this was Rainbow Connection. But it has come up a few times on this podcast about how there will be a song nominated for Best Original Song, and it will lose to something, and you look it up and you go, huh? This was nominated for Best Original Song, the title song from this film, written by Adam Schlesinger, as we said. It did not win, or else we would not be going on this rant again. It was up against a song called I Finally Found Someone from The Mirror Has Two Faces, which was by Barbra Streisand. It was up against a song from One Fine Day by James Newton Howard called For the First Time, which I do not remember. It was apparently sung by Kenny Loggins. It was up against the song Because You Loved Me by Celine Dion, written by Diane Warren. I can sing every word of that song just because it was on the radio all the time. None of those songs won. The song that won was the song written for the Evita movie starring Madonna that was written specifically to win the Oscar for Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice, called You Must Love Me. And the only part of that song I can remember is You Must Love Me. So of the 5 songs nominated, I can sing every word of 2 of them, and neither of those songs won. Honestly, say what you want about Diane Warren, I would have been fine with Because You Loved Me winning the Oscar that year.
Same.
But also That Thing You Do remains a bop to this day.
Yep. It's constantly up there on lists of best song by a fictional band.
Yeah. You know what song sucks ass? You Must Love Me. Yeah, that song sucks.
Maybe they just wanted to give Webber an Oscar.
I mean, I'm sure that was it. because that song sucks. I mean, it drags the movie to like a screeching halt.
And it did Madonna no favors.
Yeah, no. I mean, one, I'm not a big fan of Evita as a stage show, but also that was not a great adaptation of Evita. Like, Madonna also was not a good Eva Peron. 5 songs in that category. You and I bet you put on 2 of those 5 songs, you and I could sing along word for word to 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because whether or not you wanted to, you know every word to that Celine Dion song.
Yeah.
And also, whether or not you wanted to, you know every word to that thing you do. If you were alive in 1996...
Do you know how many times they play that song in this movie?
11 times. That is the answer.
You don't know the song by the end of the movie.
That is actually the answer. That song is played 11 times in the course of this movie. There's your trivia. The weirdest thing I'm going to say, you know, as tragic as it was for poor Adam Schlesinger to pass away of COVID, and I mean, he passed away very early in the pandemic. Just a couple of months into it, actually. The weird thing about watching this movie with hindsight is there is a whole section of this movie where Liv Tyler's character gets sick with some kind of cold or whatever.
Yeah.
And she is just like on a plane coughing on people and it's so weird to watch in retrospect, and I'm like, man, 1960s America didn't care, but also 1996 America didn't care. Like, prior to 2020, maybe the most I would have said was like, girl, get a tissue and cough into it, which she does not even do. And the thing is like, her getting a cold is not even like, the only point to that in the movie is just to show that her boyfriend, the lead singer, doesn't really care about her, and her future boyfriend, the drummer, cares about her. That is the entire point of her having a cold. But it just feels so weird watching it back, and you're like, oh my god, girl, like, put on a mask or something, or at least, like, cough into a tissue or a handkerchief or something. I don't know, watching that one just teeny little segment of the movie post-COVID hits so bizarrely different, and then it hits so tragically different knowing the backstory. That's kind of like the only sad part of this movie is the real world kind of behind the scenes thing. Other than that, this movie is such a adorable piece of fluff with nothing sad about it.
I mean, again, this is Tom Hanks in his directorial debut, also writing debut. He is the sole screenwriter credit for this movie. Whether it actually is true or not,
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not going to be mad at him if he got, you know, a script doctor or something on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that is very common, and I'm not going to be mad at anybody who takes advantage of the skills of a really good script doctor. That was where Carrie Fisher made basically any money that did not come from Star Wars residuals. Mm-hmm. And apparently she was one of the best in the business. Man, we miss you, Space Mom. Stop doing sad things. This is a light and fluffy movie. December is light and fluffy.
Yeah, so But my point was that, it's the early 1960s. It's that 60s, beginning of rock and roll in the mainstream. And you say light and fluffy in that this is, pre-free love America, pre-women's liberation movement America, the pre-civil rights movement.
Light and fluffy if you're a white guy.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that it really doesn't touch on any of that in the movie, especially, and there are parts where it could have. Like, there's a subplot that goes nowhere of the bass player having a crush on a black singer.
And you're like, oh, are they going to bring up interracial dating? Nope.
They go on a date to the carnival, and it's never spoken of again.
And nobody has a problem with them going on a date to the carnival together in what seems to be relatively small town America.
There was a plot point that was cut from the movie, and I'll say that right now, so since we're in that area. Howie Long had his role from the movie cut. He was going to play Tom Hanks' character, Mr. White's driver. And it was going to be revealed later in the movie that he is also Mr. White's romantic partner. Yes, it was going to be revealed that Mr. White was gay in the early 1960s. That entire subplot was cut from the movie. All of its scenes were cut from the movie. Which kind of makes me wonder, what did Fox do? Did Fox step in and say, sure, we can have this 1960s era plot of a white man having a crush on a black woman, but you gotta cut the plot of Mr. White being gay?
I mean, it's a good question, and I got no answer for it.
I mean, I could see why. I mean, this is probably very likely Tom Hanks's, the era of Tom Hanks's childhood, and he would write about this era and the music he listened to and the bands he listened to, and the point of this movie being the one-hit wonder, the Oneders, the Oneders.
And you're not a real one if you don't call them the Oneders.
I want to say this right now. We had talked about this off mic. Our main character, Guy, played by Tom Everett Scott, in this movie looks so much like young Tom Hanks. Like 1980s bosom buddy era Tom Hanks.
Yeah, and this was Tom Everett Scott's first role, really.
And I think it's the hair, because you look at him now, he doesn't look as much like Tom Hanks these days, but he looks so much like it in this movie, and I think it's just the hair.
Yeah. This film in the cast is basically a who's who of either people who were workaday actors at the time who later really hit it big, or people who this was their first or second movie who would later hit it big. Like Liv Tyler, this was her second film or third film. Charlize Theron, pretty much the same thing. I had totally forgotten she was in this film. Giovanni Ribisi, this was one of his early films. Bryan Cranston has a tiny, one scene in this, and Bryan Cranston was already, he was a character actor. He'd been paying his dues. But this was before he was Malcolm in the Middle, Breaking Bad. He was just hey, that guy, if you knew him at all. And there are, if you look at the cast list for this, it's either actors who are A-listers now who were just getting their start then, that this is their first or second film, or it's people who were paying their dues and just had not gotten their big break. It is incredible how many people are in this movie.
This movie was sold solely on Tom Hanks is in this movie. He wrote this movie. He directed this movie. Go see it.
I mean, that is entirely why I went to see this movie. I had no interest in this movie other than I like Tom Hanks.
I want to talk to two more people in the cast before we move on from here. Of course, we have the ultimate, hey, it's that guy, Clint Howard, as a DJ, and Rita Wilson, Tom Hanks's wife, makes a cameo as the waitress at the jazz club that's flirting with Guy.
And I will mention that Peter Scolari is in this, since you mentioned Bosom Buddies. Mm-hmm. Peter Scolari, the other guy from Bosom Buddies. Interestingly, 2 of Tom Hanks' children are in this. Colin Hanks is in this, and then one of Tom and Rita's, their daughter is in this, and I forget who exactly she plays. I'm not even sure she's an actor now. I think this was just when she was like a kid, maybe. But anyway, this is the only time all 4 of them have been in a film together.
Do you consider this movie a musical? I do not, because when I think musical, I think the songs influence the story or move the story along. I see this more as a movie about music. It is focusing on a band, a fictional band, but a band. Like, the characters don't stop and break into song to talk about their feelings. At least that, to me, feels more musical. I don't know how you feel about that.
If you look at the Wikipedia page for this, it lists it as a musical comedy, but like, no, I think this is a song about the music industry more than it is a musical. You wouldn't call something like Almost Famous a musical, but it has music in it. It's about a band. They sing songs, but it's a movie about the music industry. And I kind of consider this in that same way. There's a band in it, they perform songs, but the songs don't have anything to do with their plot or their feelings or their, they just need songs to sing in the background. It's more like a biopic, but about fictional people.
Yeah, a biopic of a band that never existed.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I don't know, Eddie and the Cruisers or something.
Or something like Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
Like there are songs in Spinal Tap, but you would not call that a musical. Anyway, we find out very quickly, because it's like literally the first scene, about the true passion of our main character, the drummer, Tom Everett Scott, who I will probably just call the drummer, because I can't remember all these guys' names. He works in his dad's electronics store, selling radios and stuff, and after hours he puts on jazz records, and he plays drums, because he loves him some jazz, and he loves him some drums, and that is his entire character.
Yeah, when it comes to talking about music, he will talk about music in general. Seems to be his passion. Like, is even in a later scene where he's talking to his girlfriend, all he can do is talk about music, much to his own girlfriend's dismay. When you talk about anything else other than music or jazz music or whatever. Specifically, Guy here, his favorite jazz musician is Del Paxton. And he will listen to those Del Paxton records and play his drums along to Del's music. It's a hell of a gig. You work in your dad's shop, and then after hours, while you're supposed to be, working the books from the day's tally, you're just goofing off on your drum kit, listening to your jazz records. Yeah, this all comes together because friends of his, can you call them that? The first part of the movie takes place in
Erie, Pennsylvania.
Erie, Pennsylvania. Small town. Everybody knows everybody. So as soon as anyone goes by, say, hey, that's so-and-so. So in comes these four guys, Jimmy, Lenny, Chad, and the bass player. Doesn't have a name. It's the bass player. Although he's credited as TB player at the end of the movie. And they're coming up with a band name. They're trying to get together, and they're doing this upcoming talent show to try to get themselves a little bit of money.
I think the funniest running gag in the movie is how the lead singer is so intent on his band name having some kind of weird pun in it.
And since this is the early 1960s, I think that's a direct reference to the Beatles.
Well, they do mention the Beatles once Liv Tyler comes up with the Oneders name.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's like, oh, you know, you can be the Wonders, and you know how the Beatles use the EA to set them apart. You can use ONE. You know, so they directly reference the Beatles in that. But, you know, when they're trying to come up with the names at the beginning of the movie sitting in the diner, and the one guy says, well, how about the Corvettes? And he's like, oh, the Chordettes, like, you know, CHORD ets. And he's like, no, like a Corvette, like a car, like a really cool car. We could name ourselves after the car. And he's like, well, no, but we want it to be like a chord, like a music chord, like you play, like, and everybody else is like, no, dude, you know. And then he comes up with the Herdsman, HEARD, you know.
Mm.
And there's a whole bunch of other ones that are even worse, you know, like, and everybody's like, you know, stop making it complicated.
But this is also the beginning of what will culminate in Jimmy's here's character of wanting to control the band. You know, we're going to call the band by the name I want it to be called. We're going to sing the songs that I wrote. And we're going to perform them the way I want them to be performed.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the stereotype of the front man who has to control the band. So, you know, not necessarily a stereotype without a basis in reality. But we do get our first taste of that here.
And while horsing around, their drummer Chad breaks his arm.
Yeah, poor Giovanni Ribisi. He is in this movie, but also he is not really in this movie.
He is in
Sir
this movie.
Barely appearing in this movie.
He is in this movie for 7 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, he's in the movie, and then he breaks his arm, and then he's kind of in the background of the movie in a cast for the rest of the film, watching as the band becomes famous.
He could have been him.
It could have been a contender, Ma.
He breaks his arm, and Guy is the only other drummer they know, and they say, hey, Chad broke his arm being an idiot. We need a drummer for tonight. Can you please just sit in for tonight and be our drummer?
We literally only have one song. It's a slow ballad song. You don't have to do much. Just keep the rhythm.
Which apparently Chad can't do. Because they make a joke that to Chad, every song is Wipeout. Which would have worked for them, given the rest of the movie. So yeah, the team is put together. The name has been chosen.
And it's actually the drummer that comes up with the name, sort of. At least he sparks it in Liv Tyler's brain.
Yeah, he says, all I gotta do is play one song with you. Wonderful. That's it. The Wonders.
But Wonders, ONE. I guess maybe because they have only got one song.
Maybe.
She might be making a bit of a jab at her boyfriend there.
I think she knows that her boyfriend likes puns and then just made the name into a pun.
Yeah, probably. But thanks to the new drummer doing his own thing, he changes up the tempo on stage and turns their slow ballad into a rock and dance tune. And they end up winning the whole shebang there at
This
the
is
talent show.
this is why I think if Chad hadn't broken his arm, the same thing would have happened. Because they say every song to him is Wipeout, so he would have also had he would have also kept the fast tempo. But he does make the excuse that this is the first time he's performed in front of an audience in quite a while, so he got nervous and he just did his own thing.
But it works out well for him because everybody in the audience has been so bored because everybody else has been doing these really slow, droning songs. And finally, it's got a beat and you can dance to it.
And yeah, they kind of become local celebrities they record their song on a record by the drummer's uncle has recording equipment. He uses it to record church music, but he'll record their song in a church because good acoustics and they kind of become local celebrities with their song being played locally on the radio. They sell their homemade records for $1 at their gigs to the point where they get noticed by a record label, Playtone Records. And they're the representative, which is Tom Hanks's Mr. White, who signs them and puts them on the Playtone All-Stars tour.
Playtone would then 2 years later become the name of Tom Hanks's production company, which still exists to this day.
So he changes it up. You're no longer the Oneders, you're just the Wonders.
As in, I wonder what happened to the Oneders?
Yes.
I kind of want that on a shirt.
Oh, man. Oh, Steve Zahn. I love Steve Zahn in this movie. Guy in a really nice RV wants to sign us. I'm signing, you're signing, we're all signing.
Yeah, he's really good in this part.
Mm-hmm. As part of the deal, singer Jimmy wants his girlfriend to tour with them. He says, okay, you want her on the tour? She's doing your costumes. Costume mistress is the term that she's given. And they go full fanboy over the other artists. Now they meet one of the female singers, and Lenny, Steve Zahn here, kind of goes, yeah, you were my first crush. I had my first boy-girl party to your song. And, guy goes, but, I bought, one of the singers, the first record I ever bought was your song. And just being fanboys over these artists that they grew up listening to, and now they're going to share the stage with them. I don't blame them in that regard. I mean, if you suddenly became a popular artist and now you get to perform on the same stage as the person whose first record you ever bought, you kind of go into that kind of mode too.
Yeah, I mean, valid.
As we mentioned, they do various tour stops, including state fairs and whatnot. This is where the subplot of the bass player having the crush on the black singer who's part of a all-girl group, very Motownish. This is also where Tom Hanks's character gets the idea for Shades, Guy's new onstage persona. He's going to be the one that wears these sunglasses, and he kind of becomes, weirdly, the popular member of the band, because wherever they go, there are these bunch of girls chanting, "We want Shades! We want Shades! We want Shades!"
And they're also wearing sunglasses of their own, and yeah.
Yeah.
It's his own little fan club.
Yeah. And as all this is happening for old Guy, His love life kind of falls apart because his girlfriend ends up having an affair with her dentist.
This is such a weird subplot. I'm glad Charlize Theron got work, but why is she even in this movie?
Yeah, it's like the whole point of this character is that she is the complete wrong woman for the drummer. He is into music. His obsession is music, specifically jazz music. He talks about the thrill of performing in front of an audience for the first time in years. He's really into this newfound local fame he's getting, soon to be national fame, and his girlfriend couldn't care any less. Like, dude, I've heard your song. I don't need to hear it again.
She comes to the talent show, and before they're even on stage, she's like, how much longer is this gonna last? He said that there was just gonna be one song. It's a talent show, sweetheart. There's not just one act.
Yeah.
Be supportive.
Complains about the venue that they're playing at afterwards. Is it so smoky in here? Yeah, because it's 1960s restaurant where you could still smoke at the time.
This movie is brought to you by smoking.
Yep, a lot of smoking in this movie.
And the thing is they get on stage, she doesn't even clap for them. It's finally their turn,
And I get the point. Like, she's not into music. She's not into any of this. She's only there to support her boyfriend.
But she's not supportive,
Yeah. I'm physically here. That is enough for me to do. And then the next day she gets a brand new dentist, and it's a much taller, much more physically built man. And she's now going to the dentist every week and getting her hair in curls and to go to the dentist because she has a crush on the dentist. And then we get through dialogue. Oh yeah, she's sleeping with her dentist now.
Girl, let me introduce you to a woman named Audrey. She might tell you why that's a bad idea.
Wrong musical.
Or is it the right musical?
Through the movie, through this tour, through this entire thing that they're doing, especially this tour of the Playtone All-Stars through all these state fairs, Jimmy and Faye, Liv Tyler's character, kind of have their coming apart. Jimmy is more interested in the music business side of it. He's, having this moment with Diane, one of the singers, and which the boys have admitted was their first crush. Meanwhile, she's kind of been left out to dry, and drummer Guy is the only one that's kind of paying attention to her. Where's Faye? Is she here? Once like I said, once the girls with the shades come out and trying to mop the guys, they're trying to get out of there. He's the only one that goes back for Faye because the cops think she's just another groupie. Her own boyfriend doesn't go back for her,
Yeah.
When she's sick on the plane, who's taking care of her? Guy is. When they finally make their TV debut, who's worried if she's going to make the event? Guy is. And I get it. I mean, you're right in that regard that I hate saying it, but her purpose in the movie is to show how much of an asshole Jimmy is and how much of a good guy Guy is. I get it. I think that could have been done better. But yeah, now that their song has reached the top 10, they have been pulled from the All-Stars tour, and they're going to Los Angeles to film a movie, to meet the owner of the company, and to be on television. This is part of that whole singer Jimmy's an asshole thing, because his obsession is, I want to record another record. And Mr. White, Tom Hanks, is telling him, hey, there's a process to this. Trust the process. We need to do A, B, and C. before we're even allowed to go into the studio to record another record. Just listen to me and we'll do it. And Jimmy just hates every second of it. Like, they filmed the movie and it's a Frankie and Annette beach party movie. That's what they're doing. They're the band in the background of this beach party movie. And while the three guys are just having a blast, just being in a movie, Jimmy is like, why are we here? We have a top 10 record in the world. We shouldn't be here. We should be in the recording studio. We should be getting ready for this TV appearance. We should be doing this, that, and the other. And Jimmy, slow your roll. You should really listen to the guy who's actually in the record business, who's telling you what to do. I know that you don't want to do it, but maybe you should listen to the guy who knows what he's doing.
Yeah, the thing is that in a world before MTV and stuff, doing things like these, little beach party movies and stuff, that was how people kind of found out about bands and whatever. It was how you got your name out there, It would be like, and the Oneders playing the Beach Bums or something,
Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters.
Yeah. When Tom Hanks is telling, the lead singer, like, hey, there is a process to this, and you need to listen to me. Keep in mind that this is not a movie about the music business where it's like, oh, look at how the music business screws you over. This is very gentle on how the music business is portrayed. Tom Hanks and the record company are generally portrayed to be treating this band very even-handedly. And when he tells the band there is a process to this, what he's meaning is you got lucky with this first hit, which is what happens with one-hit wonders, your song happened to have been heard by the right person at the right time, and they played it on the radio, and it hit with people. But if we're going to turn you into a band with a second hit and a third hit, we need to make sure that we up your media presence, kind of what we would call it today, maybe. And people need to know who you are. We need to get you seen on TV. You need to be more than just the band that does that one song I like. And you need to be the Oneders who does songs I like. You
got to be more than musicians. You got to be the personality as well.
Well, it's like when you said, Adam Schlesinger wrote the song for this movie. He was the bassist for Fountains of Wayne. And I had to say, if you don't remember the band Fountains of Wayne, they're the ones who wrote the song Stacy's Mom. Because that's kind of the one song they're known for. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest about that. And I say that as somebody who, kind of digs that band. But that is kind of their hit, Mm-hmm. What Tom Hanks is saying to them is, you have to be more than the band that does Stacy's Mom. You have to become Fountains of Wayne. Oh, they're the band that does Stacy's Mom, and they do this other song, and they do that, Mm-hmm. Because that's how one-hit wonders work. You remember the song, you don't necessarily remember the band.
And Jimmy's insistence on slow ballads isn't really going to keep them in the public eye. Because he's more interested, when they get the record back, he's more interested in the B-side, a slow ballad called All My Only Dreams. Even by the end of the movie, Tom Hanks is telling him, hey, enough with the slow ballad crap. These people don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I want to hear something upbeat, something snappy. And that seems to be the one that triggers the breakup, because Jimmy just doesn't want to hear it. Mostly, I mean, in a way, again, 1960s America, rock and roll is on the rise. People are going to want to have something they can dance to. In a way, Tom Hanks is right. In a way, the drummer was right, because the song That Thing You Do works as an upbeat rock song. It did not work as a slow ballad. So singer Jimmy's insistence on writing slow ballads and performing slow ballads would have tanked the band anyway.
And that's why Tom Hanks is kind of, why he kind of blows up at the singer there is he's like, you need to listen to me. I'm the expert. And it's in your contract that you record what I tell you to record.
And of course, they're at the Playtone building. And what does Jimmy do? He breaks the protocol. He goes directly to the owner of the company saying, hey, I've got these songs. I want to record them. And he almost gets the band fired, because he went over their manager's head going directly to the boss, because he didn't want to go through the proper channels. He did not want to go through the system that Tom Hanks had laid out for the band. That he somehow knew more about the music industry than the people in the music industry. We finally make it to the day of their big television debut on this TV variety show. They're
hosted by Peter Scolari's character.
Yeah. By this point, their bass player is gone. He had said earlier in the movie that he enlisted in the Marines and that he will be leaving anyway. So we get a new bass player, Wolfman Pell, who works for Playtone Records. Hey, he's your new bass player. So the time has come. They're on television. They make their big world television debut, playing their song. It's time for America to meet the Oneders. We get their, it's very like similar acts on television. Here is each member of the band. Here are their names. And finally, it gets to Jimmy, and he gets a little subtitle under his name saying, careful, girls, he's engaged, which pisses him off. They finished the song, yes, because he's not going to ruin his big TV debut over that. But afterwards, he is pissed. He's like, who told you? Who said I was engaged? Who said we were engaged?
He takes it entirely out on Liv Tyler, because he assumes she's the one who told them to put that up there.
And it's not. It's like, what you want me to buy you a ring now? The last thing I need is to be attached. And Liv Tyler's character here, who has done nothing but be supportive to him, is getting chewed out for something she didn't do. And she's had it. She's done. She's like, you know what? I've wasted too many kisses on you. I never want to see you again. You stay as far away from me as you can. And he because he has to have the last word in that conversation, he yells, I should have dumped you in Pittsburgh. And then he looks at, okay, she didn't say anything. One of you guys did. Who said it? Who said that we were getting married? And of course, we get the close-up of the drummer kind of like, oh, crap. Did I say the wrong thing to the wrong person? So the assumption is that the drummer may have said something. Oh, they're together. They're going to get married one day. And somebody took it out of context. But we have Tom Hanks kind of covering for everybody. Who told them that you were getting married? Well, it's the same guy who thought you had class. Which, good move on Mr. White here taking the heat. But based on camera direction and who was the focus of that scene, it's kind of clear it was the drummer that may have said the wrong thing to the wrong person.
Yeah.
The point is that the singer's an asshole. He's a control freak. He doesn't appreciate having Liv Tyler as his girlfriend. She's had enough. She's walking away. And it was just the drummer who was trying to be a good guy.
And I think it's interesting because the singer breaks up with her, and then they have the whole bit with, they go in the next day to talk about recording, and the band kind of breaks up too. And we see Liv Tyler, now that the band's not together, everybody has to get out of the hotel that that Playtone has been putting them up in. And we see Liv Tyler packing up all of her stuff. And bravo to Tom Hanks for putting this in there, because this is possibly the best directed bit, I think, is just this little scene with Liv Tyler alone in the hotel room packing up her stuff. And she finds all these pictures of, her and the guys on tour. And there's a picture of her and the singer and the drummer. And even though her and the singer were supposed to be together at that time, it's really great the way that the picture is framed, because the singer's turned away and he's looking off into the distance and stuff. And Liv Tyler and the drummer, like, very close together and smiling and looking in the same direction and stuff. And it makes it very easy for her to just cut the singer out of the photo and keep the picture of her and the drummer,
And we see that cut picture during the epilogue.
Yeah. But it's an entirely wordless scene. And it's such a great moment of, like, girl, why did you not see this before? It's been obvious to everybody else watching this movie,
I mean, she even says it after they get together. We should have gotten together a long time ago. Like, not even them being together, but, why didn't you see that your boyfriend's kind of an asshole?
Yeah.
But I wanna backtrack a bit, because there's stuff that happens before the TV appearance that I kind of want to touch on. Number one, our rhythm guitarist, lead guitarist, Lenny, who's kind of an idiot, kind of ends up running away with, I believe he says it's a Playboy model. They run up to Vegas to get married. The bass player kind of ditches the band because he's going to go into the military anyway. He goes off and hangs out with some other military guys, and they go to Disneyland. So what we have is 1996 Disneyland trying to look like 1964 Disneyland. And it
doesn't really work, but okay.
I mean, they try to have, like, the old-fashioned popcorn bags. They try to recreate some of the older balloons. But the castle is still the 1996 paint job of the castle. The mascot costumes are the 90s version of the character costumes for both Mickey Mouse and Goofy, who are credited in the movie as themselves.
Well, who else would you credit them as?
Which is very funny, considering that this movie is now owned by Disney.
Yeah, at the time they had to pay rights licensing for that.
But in terms of what works for this movie, for the storyline of this movie, since the band has kind of gone their own separate ways the night before the big TV appearance, our drummer kind of just wants to go to a jazz club, because during that part of the movie, they end up meeting the door guy at the hotel, and he tells him, "Hey, what's the best jazz club in the city? I want to listen to some jazz music," and sends him to this jazz club. This is where Rita Wilson makes her cameo as the waitress, and this is where the drummer meets his idol, Del Paxton, who is a regular at this jazz club. And yeah, he kind of fanboys over him. I've had all your records, and you're my idol, and you're my hero. And he ends up chatting with the guy all night long. And I love how that whole thing ends because, Del goes off with his boys to do whatever. And here's the drummer there, now drunk from drinking with Del Paxton all night. And the waitress kind of looks at him because she's been flirting with him all night, and looks at him like, "You're no good to me now."
Yeah.
Like if he hadn't hung out with his idol, he probably could have taken her back to the hotel. And I say that because that leads us into the post breakup of the band, because they're in the record studio. The drummer's the only one left because he even says, "I've never been in a real recording studio before. Can I just hang out here for a little while?" And Tom Hanks tells him, "Yeah, you can do that, but just know that you do need to be out of the hotel before the end of the day, since your band no longer exists. Can't do anything about that, but you can hang out here for as long as you want." So he gets there, he's playing, he just jamming on the drums, doing whatever, and the producer saying, "Hey, that's good. You wanna lay it down?" He says, "Nah, I'm just goofing around. It's nothing." But in walks Del Paxton, who was recording in the studio across, saying, "Yeah, you sound good. You want to jam?" And they jam, and so it's a yes, his band may have fallen apart, but he got to jam with his idol in a real recording studio, and the song got recorded. It's never said in the movie, but it is assumed that the song was released in some capacity. But that's not a bad, yeah, you may still have a top 10 record in the country. Your band doesn't exist anymore, but you had that one moment with your hero and you got to have a jam session with him. That's not such a bad thing. And you could tell how much fun he's having. I mean, the acting here is really good because, like we mentioned, pop music isn't really his style. It's jazz. So him finally getting to play jazz music with his favorite jazz musician, probably the best
thing. Yeah.
Dream come true. And Del says, "Hey, you could be a real drummer." And he gets back to the hotel and he's telling Liv Tyler, "Hey, yeah, Del wants me to stay. He wants to work with me. He thinks I can be a real drummer out here, and I'm going to stay out here on the West Coast and try to make it happen." Meanwhile, Liv Tyler, who's just, she's going to go home back to Erie because there's nothing left for her here.
And he is like, "Have you considered my schlong?" And she's like, "Well, I have. But weren't you dating Charlize Theron?" And he's like, she found a dentist. And she's like, y'all were never a good couple anyway. And he was like, "Yeah, I know. That was a plot that went nowhere." And she was like, "Should we maybe get married in the credits?" And he was like, "Yeah, might be a good plan."
His flirtation needs work, but the fact that it only worked because she was already into him, because he's like, okay, Kiki, I'm just gonna put this out there for you. If one of your male friends were to straight up ask you, when was the last time you were really kissed, I doubt you're gonna respond the way Liv Tyler did.
I mean, probably not. But, I mean, you gotta hand it to him, like, he already knew she was interested because they immediately are like, "Have we been officially checked out of those rooms yet? Because watch our stuff. And then they just like immediately head on up to the room.
And we get the epilogue here. I will say that the epilogue here, I actually own the soundtrack to this movie. I bought the soundtrack when this movie came out. I still own it. And on the soundtrack, the ending song here is called I Need You by The Herdsmen. So this is Jimmy's new band after the Oneders broke up. And he plays ball because this is an up-tempo, peppy love song. That is story that you will only understand that story if you have the soundtrack. Because it specifically says that this song is by the Herdsmen. So yeah, we have our epilogue that shows the drummer and Liv Tyler got married. They had 4 children, lived in California, moved to Washington, where they founded a music art school, and the drummer teaches jazz. Yay. Our singer ends up forming a new band called the Herdsmen, like I've mentioned. They ended up having 3 gold records for Playtone, and now he is a successful record producer. The bass player, he did 2 tours in Vietnam and is now running a construction company in Florida. Our guitarist now runs a casino just outside of Las Vegas and is currently single. So, that's our epilogue of our band members. That epilogue, combined with the fact that the song playing is a song by the Herdsmen, makes me wonder what the Oneders could have been if the singer wasn't an asshole. If he had played ball, if he had said, hey, fine, we'll record these cover songs, Tom Hanks, that you want us to, but I want the B-side, because Tom Hanks specifically told him that you can have every B-side of every single, but it's got to be a peppy hit. If he had put like this song as a upbeat peppy song on the B-side of whatever cover song they're doing next, and they played ball and actually went through the process and actually did the work to become more than just a one-hit wonder, could they have had the 3 gold records? Could they have had the big success?
The thing is I kind of wonder what made him change, because something had to have gotten into his head that, like, you need to shut up and play ball.
Who knows? Again, the movie ends before we find out.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the fact that he lost everybody. He lost his girl. All of his friends don't want to talk to him anymore. He didn't seem to have many friends to begin with. Maybe it was a situation where he was in control of the band. Because it's possible, again, and this happens, that, okay, I'm going to form my band and I'm just going to get some session musicians, some, pay-by-the-hour musicians to just be the other members of the band for the studio recording, and we're going to do it as this band name or something. Maybe he was more agreeable to the terms if he had more control, being that control freak that he was being throughout the whole movie. I don't know.
That is an interesting idea. I kind of like that as a headcanon.
Because it wouldn't be the first time that would happen. Take any member of a band that has broken off into their own solo career. Anyone, you name it. And they just have this other band that's their own, and they're in control. I don't know. But something happened. He played ball. He did the peppy upbeat song that Tom Hanks wanted him to write. And yeah. Does that thing you do have the magic? I think so. I still enjoy watching this movie. And that thing you do is still a bop. It's still that song that'll get into your head. I understand that the point of playing the song 11 times in the movie is to get the audience just as sick of the song as the band was. But I wasn't. I still wanted to hear more of the song. I could hear the song all day.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work out in the way that they thought it would. But here's the thing about the movie. Yes, I do think it has the magic. The plot is kind of thin. There are some things that baffle me, like, why does Charlize Theron's character exist? You know? Like, you can still have the Liv Tyler plot without that. And that's no offense to Charlize Theron. I think that's just on the writing. The fact that this song is such an absolute banger, I think makes up for any of the other problems with the film.
Yeah.
Come for the song, stay for the song. In between the song, you'll get, a decent enough movie with a bunch of actors that you really like.
I will throw one more thing on there that I forgot to mention is the opening song of the movie. It's a song called "Lovin' You Lots and Lots," which is obviously a takeoff of like Ray Conniff big group songs where it's a big group of singers singing the song, and that was written by Tom Hanks. So
and that's kind of a bop too. I mean, it's not the one that sticks in your head comparatively, but cute little number.
Yep.
If you haven't seen it in a while, go watch it. It's on Hulu technically, but if you've got the bundle, Disney Plus Hulu bundle.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of the songs in here are really good. Mr. Downtown is a really good one. When the movie came out, Dance With Me Tonight was like one of my favorite songs from the album. I don't know about you, besides That Thing You Do.
Yeah, I mean, I had the album when it came out. I can't remember if I don't know if I still do. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of on heavy rotation for me when the movie came out. So this was a nice little trip down memory lane.
Yeah, so yeah, again, has the magic. If you haven't seen the movie, do so. If you haven't seen the movie in like 30 years, go back to it. Again, it's on Hulu. It's on Disney Plus if you have the Hulu bundle. Yeah, definitely worth checking out. Moving on to next week, it is kind of time for us to get into the holidays. Technically, this is a Christmas movie, but we're getting into the Sandra Bullock rom-com era with While You Were Sleeping, the era where Sandra Bullock was like America's sweetheart and was in everything.
I mean, come on, Sandy Bullock is still America's sweetheart.
Yeah, she is. But yeah, and like I said, this is technically, it takes place at Christmas. I'm counting it.
It's our show. We can do what we want to.
So come back next week for While You Are Sleeping, and we will talk to you all next time. Bye. Don't let the magic stop here.
Keep the conversation going. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Rewatching the Magic.
We are also on Blue Sky, rewatchingthemagic.bsky.social. And new episodes are available every Monday at rewatchingthemagic.podbean.com and youtube.com/@rewatchingthemagic. Remember, the magic is for everyone.
It only stops if you let it.
We know that right now, things are tough.
But in the words of Jim Henson, the only way the magic works is by hard work. But hard work can be fun.
Check out our show notes for ways that you can help.